So after a lot of hype, we get a announcement of a new Spider-Man book by JJ and Henry Abrams and Sara Pichelli with covers of Oliver Copiel. What do we think? Big announcement, break the internet, a million copies sold? Probably not, but let's go into it. Okay, so trying to have a little new format here. I'll lead with that. So let me know in the comments. Do you like this better? Some of the visuals and the graphics we're updating as we come the next month or so. We'll have some new graphics things, redid some things, make it a little bit easier, hopefully a little bit quicker to the content, and do all the things that good influencers on YouTube are supposed to do. So that's let me know. Let me know what we're doing. Maybe we're too Wes Anderson here. That's by design to some extent. I don't know. Anyway, so there's been in the kind of the the quote. At some point, you just got to learn better. Um, the hype over the last week, several days, has been Spider-Man, and it started out with a kind of Web 4. And it was in almost the font of the Spider-Man movies. Right? Not almost, it was the font of the Spider-Man movies, because it's Web 4, and it became a 3 and a 2. And it's a countdown to something, and the countdown was this morning. And the announcement turned out to be, we had a couple Spider-Man announcements, and I think that was a mistake too, but I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, the announcement was that JJ Abrams, the noted filmmaker, man who's about to put out a new Star Wars and hopefully kind of turn the tide away from critics, and his son Henry Abrams are going to be producing, bringing to fans a new book or Spider-Man, I think just called Spider-Man, or maybe it will probably have some little prefix. It's not an ongoing series, it's a limited series. Sara Pichelli, who kind of mysteriously vanished off of Fantastic Four after just 3 issues in, will be doing the art for it, and Oliver Copiel will be doing the covers for it. Copiel in what seems like a slow slide into cover work only, which is very disappointing. Well, I should rephrase. Cover work only for the big 2 and creator-owned projects at Miller World, where he actually does interiors. Magic Order was pretty good in terms of art. It looked pretty nice, so he still got it. I'd like to see more of it. But anyway, it's a limited series, like I said, and it's going to kind of have its own kind of niche, if you will. And the premise is that there's a brand new villain we've never seen before, Cadaverous, I believe, who's going to be going after just Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And okay, so here's where I think the problems start for me with this announcement. First off, we have a current Amazing Spider-Man run, not an Amazing Spider-Man, but actually title Amazing Spider-Man, by Nick Spencer, and that title is doing really well. It's one of the highest selling Marvel books. People like it. A good portion of why people like it is because it did bring Mary Jane back, and it featured her kind of prominently, and they returned the relationship to not all the way to a marriage, but certainly a relationship. But one of the stories that's been going since the beginning is this creepy kind of unnamed centipede-ish villain who a lot of people are frightened of. A lot of the other villains are frightened of, who is kind of stalking Mary Jane and putting her presumably in grave danger. And Peter's worried about that, and so there's a threat to Mary Jane in the regular Spider-Man book. And then Tom Taylor got a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man book, and that came out. And then yesterday, we get the announcement that there's going to be a kind of Marvel Anniversary Celebration Spider-Man book with Eric Larson and Mark Bagley. So it's Friday, and it's time for another Spider-Man book. And the other Spider-Man book is going to feature a threat to Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And if that sounds familiar, it's because I just said it like 30 seconds ago. That's to me is the big problem here, is that it's yet another Spider-Man book, and they you want to get good burst out of your PR. You want to get attention and do something noteworthy, but you knew this PR was coming. You started teasing this on Monday, I believe, with the countdown, or Tuesday. And then last night, kind of on the eve, less than 24 hours, maybe less than 12, no, but less than 24 hours, you run an announcement about, Eric Larson and Mark Bagley are coming back to do a Spider-Man book, and they're people who made Spider-Man famous, and, it's a celebration of Spider-Man. And you run that PR, and then, 16 hours later, you're like, hey, guess what? Another Spider-Man book. It's just bad timing. It's like you're shooting all of your bullets kind of all at once into one area. If somebody in your marketing department was, let's make this week all about Spider-Man. Okay, sounds good. I think any competent PR department would still have put out the anniversary issue news maybe at the start of the week. Like, hey, we're celebrating Spider-Man's anniversary. That's Marvel's anniversary. We got this Spider-Man book, Eric Larson, who you'd never thought would come back to do Marvel comics. He's doing a Marvel comic. And this is just the beginning. This is the start of Spider-Man week. And at the end of the week, we're going to have a huge announcement that will blow your socks off. And then you announce the book. Any competent PR department would have told you to take that route rather than kind of what was done. And the other thing was, okay, so sometimes you learn things from your marketing that you weren't expecting. Like you say, hey, we've got a big surprise for you. And everybody's like, oh, well, is it my birthday? You remember my birthday. And you're thinking, oh, crap, I bought you a Coke, or I brought a donut in to the office. I did not realize it was your birthday. That feels like kind of how the Spider-Man announcement went, because they launch out this number 4 with the webs, and everybody is like, oh my God, this is awesome. You're going to finally take Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 script and you're going to make a comic out of it. Great news. This is incredible. And it's like, oh, but it wasn't that. It's something else. And I wonder if the people at Marvel are like, did any of you realize that the fans are kind of into having Raimi's Spider-Man 4 script made into a comic? Did anybody else know this? Like Nick Lowe, were you aware? Anybody aware that this was going on? I think that was what fans wanted, and good smart company gives fans what they want. I mean, I would hope at some point the lesson from this week is Olszewski or Lowe or Brevoort or Joey Q are picking up the phone trying to figure out where Raimi is, and like, hey, you know what? We've had a lot of fan interest for your script. Who knew? None of us knew, but apparently people would like that. So what does it cost to buy that off you and adapt it and put that book out? I mean, it might be a good idea. Anyway, but back to this new title. I think, what's funny is the problem that a lot of people have. I did a quick tweet about it, and the responses were, nepotism, screw nepotism. And, maybe I'm just weird this morning, but that's my least worry. I could care less. Henry is JJ Abrams' son, and he's getting a book. And is he a good writer? Good, who knows? But and it's true. If he was just kind of Joe Nobody on the street, no, he wouldn't be given a big Spider-Man book. His name obviously matters. JJ Abrams is supposed to contribute to this, whether he's going to do an outline or maybe he and his son are going to work together on a project. I have no ill will about that. I mean, good for them. Father, son, working on a project together sounds great. I mean, whatever. And if Marvel thinks they can market and push it, great. I don't care about the nepotism in this case. I think, it's largely normal. You're getting the PR buzz off of a big name, and he's bringing his son along, and the proof will be in the book. I mean, at the end of the day, if the book comes out and it's just awful, then I think the nepotism stuff can, or at least is the editor incompetent rumbling should begin in earnest. But if the book comes out and it's an entertaining story, I mean, great, good for you. That's what we want. We want to sell these things, and putting Pichelli and Copiel on a book will help sell things. And whether Abrams brings some lens flare Photoshop filters to the book or not, who knows? We'll discover together. But nepotism. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, the name matters, and his relationship to his father matters, and everything else. But I also believe, and this not to make it political or anything, but if if you achieve in your life, if you're a adult and you make a lot of money, and you want to pass some of that to your children, and if you have a name in the creative space and you're able to pass some of that to your children to get them jobs and other things, then I don't, okay, I don't have a major problem with that. I think that's a big difference from somebody being put into a job that they're clearly, incompetent for, and they do a terrible job, and but they get to keep their job because of their name. I'm more into where I think nepotism is really terrible is where it's the keep your job, not get your job, and more of the issue. I mean, yes, in a company, in a business, anything else, I do think, that's what HR is for. But, with creative projects, it is a little different. If, John Burns' kid wants to start drawing comics and the comic publisher wants to hype up the name connection, you know, go for it. More power to them. If the drawings are awful, if it's there's no anatomy and it's terrible, that problem will sort itself out real quick, because the fans will reject it and the book won't sell. And then I think again the blame goes back to not the kid, not nepotism in general, but just what incompetent editor is keeping this thing going, and are they doing that just for the namesake? Is that so we'll see. We'll see, but I'm not up in arms about that. I am not up in arms about anything. It's another book. I mean, good, great. We'll put it on the shelf. Hopefully it sells. The part that, as I said, the part that gets me is really all about who's planning this stuff, because you've got both from the launch and the PR and what you decided to hype and what the fans wanted and what they actually got, and also again, I mean, you're reading from a solicit of less than a paragraph, so who knows what the book will be like. But the bullet points you chose, not fans, but you, Marvel, chose to highlight were, new book, brand new villain, cadaverous, will be threatening Peter and Mary Jane. And I have to ask, I'm like, are you reading your own books? Are you reading your own titles? Because that's what's going on in Amazing Spider-Man. Literally right now, we've got a brand new villain threatening Spider-Man and Mary Jane right now from the book you relaunched not that long ago. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. There's a method to the madness and other things, but I can guarantee you that today, tomorrow, customer will come and say, "Hey, did you see that new Spider-Man announcement?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I saw it." And they'll say, "Isn't this kind of the same plot of the current book I'm buying?" And I will say, seems like it, but who knows? Hey, let's look on the bright side here. It's another Spider-Man book. Oh, by the way, do you want a poll for the other new Spider-Man book that was announced last night? I don't know. I think that's the rub, but maybe I'm all wrong. Hey, leave me a comment, like, subscribe, click the bell for notification. Make sure you're still subscribed, please. Really value your comments. Let me know what you think of the format. Follow me on Twitter, Comic Perch. Thanks for listening.